Mrs. Montresor to Mrs. De Wint. Number 5 Bolton Street, Piccadilly, June the 12th. Dearest Bessie, you will see that we have left that terrible, hateful, fatal house. How I wish we had escaped from it sooner. Oh, my dear Bessie, I shall never be the same woman again if I live to be 100. Let me try to be coherent and tell you connectedly what has happened. And first, as to the housemaid, she has been removed to a lunatic asylum and remains much in the same state. She has had several lucid intervals, and during them has been closely, pressingly questioned as to what it is she saw, but she has maintained an absolute hopeless silence and only shudders, moans, and hides her face in her hands when the subject is broached. 3 days ago, I went to see her, and on my return was sitting resting in the drawing-room before getting dressed for dinner, talking to Adela about my visit, when Ralph Gordon walked in. He has always been walking in the last 10 days, and Adela has always flushed up and looked very happy, poor little cat, whenever he made his appearance. He looked very handsome, dear fellow, just come in from the park. Seemed in tremendous spirits, and was as skeptical as even you could be as to the ghostly origin of Sarah's seizure. Let me come here tonight and sleep in that room. Do, Mrs. Montresor, he said, looking very eager and excited. With the gas lit and a poker, I'll engage to exorcise every demon that shows his ugly nose, even if I should find 7 white ghostesses sitting on 7 white postesses. You don't mean really? I asked incredulously. Don't I? That's all, he answered emphatically. I should like nothing better. Well, is it a bargain? Adela turned quite pale. Oh, don't, she said hurriedly. Please don't. Why should you run such a risk? How do you know that you might not be sent mad too? He laughed very heartily and colored a little with pleasure at seeing the interest she took in his safety. Never fear, he said. It would take more than a whole squadron of departed ones, with the old gentleman at their head, to send me crazy. He was so eager, so persistent, so thoroughly in earnest, that I yielded at last, though with a strong reluctance, to his entreaties. Adela's blue eyes filled with tears, and she walked away hastily to the conservatory and stood picking up bits of heliotrope to hide them. Nevertheless, Ralph got his own way. At about 10 o'clock, he arrived, accompanied by a friend and brother officer, Captain Broughton, who was anxious to see the result of the experiment. Let me go up at once, he said, looking very happy and animated. I don't know when I have felt in such good tune. A new sensation is luxury not to be had every day of one's life. Turn the gas up as high as it will go, provide a good stout poker, and leave the issue to Providence and me. We did as he bid. It's all ready now, Henry said, coming downstairs after having obeyed his orders. The room is nearly as light as day. Well, good luck to you, old fellow. Goodbye, Miss Bruce, Ralph said, going over to Adela and taking her hand with a look half laughing, half sentimental. Fare thee well, and if for then forever, fare thee well. That is my last dying speech and confession. Now mind, he went on, standing by the table and addressing us all, if I ring once, don't come. I may be flurried and lay hold of the bell without thinking. If I ring twice, come. Then he went, jumping up the stairs 3 at a time and humming a tune. As for us, we sat in different attitudes of expectation and listening about the drawing-room. At first we tried to talk a little, but it would not do. Our whole souls seemed to have passed into our ears. The clock's ticking sounded as loud as a great church bell close to one's ear. Addie lay on the sofa with her dear little white face hidden in the cushions. So we sat for exactly an hour, but it seemed like 2 years, and just as the clock began to strike 11, a sharp ting, ting, ting rang clear and shrill throughout the house. Let us go, said Addie, starting up and running to the door. Let us go, I cried too, following her, but Captain Broughton stood in our way and intercepted our progress. No, he said decisively, you must not go. Remember, Gordon told us distinctly if he rang once not to come. I know the sort of fellow he is, and that nothing would annoy him more than having his directions disregarded. Oh, nonsense, Addie cried passionately. He would never have rung if he had not seen something dreadful. Do let us go, she ended, clasping her hands. But she was overruled, and we all went back to our seats. 10 minutes more of suspense, next door to unendurable. I felt a lump in my throat, a gasping for breath. 10 minutes on the clock, but thousands of centuries on our hearts. Then again, loud, sudden, and violent, the bell rang. We made a simultaneous rush to the door. I don't think we were 1 second flying upstairs. Addie was first. Almost simultaneously, she and I burst into the room. There he was, standing in the middle of the floor, rigid, petrified, with that same look, that look that is burnt into my heart in letters of fire, of an awful, unspeakable, stony fear on his brave, young, handsome face. For 1 instant he stood thus. Then, stretching out his arms stiffly before him, he groaned in a terrible, husky voice, "Oh, I have seen it!" and fell down dead. Yes, dead. Not in a swoon or in a fit, but dead. Vainly, we tried to bring back the life to that strong young man. It will never come back again till that day when the earth and the sea give up the dead that are therein. I cannot see the page for the tears that are blinding me. He was such a dear fellow. I can't write any more today. Your broken-hearted Cecilia.